So here's a random food question for you. When you eat, do you like to keep all of your food separate, or are you okay if one part of your meal touches another part? See, there are some people who are okay with everything blending together. Are your meals like that? You turn everything into a burrito bowl? Somehow all your separate foods become one food very quickly? Well, I fall into this camp. For example, during the Thanksgiving meal, I'm all about combining foods. Actually, mashed potatoes plus anything is generally pretty good year-round. And then there are some of you who set up some strong boundaries on your plate. Can some of you relate? Like the green beans need to stay clear of the grilled chicken, and you'd prefer it if your eggs didn't touch your pancakes? This is somewhat representative of our lives. In some areas, everything kind of meshes and goes together like a burrito bowl. In most cases, however, we categorize. Our family is the grilled chicken, and our work is the green beans. Pancakes are what we do on the weekend, and the scrambled eggs are our hobbies. And everything goes in its different place. And in some ways, this is also what we do when it comes to our faith. We compartmentalize faith in its nice, neat category. We can juggle different masks and put on different ones in different situations. It's like we have different boxes for different things. We have the faith box, right? When we go to church or read our Bibles, that's in the faith box. But then work is a different box, and we spend a lot of time in the work box. When it comes to our family box, that's separate. We have a lot more that we could talk about: our health box, financial box, friendship box, marriage box, self-care box, but you get the idea. We have nice, neat boxes for all the different areas of our life. And we know how to wear the right mask for each one of these. And this includes our faith. We have a tendency to put our faith in a box. All the church, the prayer, worship, and Bible stuff goes in there as well. Well, in this series, we're talking about having the kind of faith that leads to a big, full, abundant life. Faith is all about having trust, hope, and confidence in Jesus. And it really shows up when we live differently. When our faith grows, our lives look different. As we'll see today, when we change how we view our box of faith, the compartments of our lives will look different as well. Now, much of the New Testament was written by a man named Paul, who was one of the most influential leaders and missionaries in the early church. What makes this especially powerful is that Paul had once been one of Christianity's most vocal opponents, seeking to crush the movement of Jesus before it even spread. But after a life-changing encounter with Jesus, Paul went from wanting to stop Christianity to encouraging and inviting people to become Jesus followers. After experiencing the grace of Christ, Paul became a passionate and eloquent proponent of our faith, while also planting churches throughout the known world. In one of his letters to a church that he planted in the city of Colossae, Paul made some big, powerful statements. He wrote this: "The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together." Look at how many times he used the word all in this passage. Paul didn't write, "Hey, make sure you have your little faith box in order." He didn't write, "Hey, I just want you to know that Jesus is also interested in other areas of your life." No, he wrote that Jesus is bigger than all of it. Think about this. Since all things were created through and for Jesus, why would we keep him out of our marriage? Since he is before all things and holds all things together, then we can invite him into our work and our career. Since Jesus is over the details of all creation, why would we box him out of our parenting, our finances, or our mental health? All the stuff that concerns us or bothers us or worries us, stresses us out, he's bigger than all of it. We can't box the unboxable. He's more powerful than we can imagine. He's more creative than we can fathom. He's more loving than we could ever grasp. Trying to put him in a nice, neat little box would be like trying to put the ocean in your coffee cup. Trying to compartmentalize him is like trying to capture lightning in a jar. He is the box above, below, and beyond all other boxes. He is the box. In fact, for some of you, maybe the reason your faith isn't growing is because your view of Jesus is confined to the Sunday morning box. Your faith doesn't feel big enough because your view of Jesus doesn't feel big. Sure, you like church and some of the things you learn about Jesus. But then you step outside and you leave your faith box right here at church. But if you want the kind of faith that leads to a big, full, abundant life, then you have to understand that a once-a-week faith box won't produce this. Growing in faith is the byproduct of an everyday faith. So what does this look like in our everyday lives? In an Old Testament book of wisdom called Proverbs, a famous king named Solomon also emphasized the word all. One of his proverbs went like this: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." Look at some of the phrases that Solomon shared. Trust in the Lord. Completely trust the one who made everything, made you, who knows everything, who knows how everything works. Plus, as Jesus made clear, he is a Lord and God who absolutely loves you, which means he can be trusted with all your heart. If some of you are honest, you may say that you've trusted Jesus with half of your heart, or a quarter of your heart, or your heart once a week. I remember a time in my life when I realized this. God had about a third of my heart. And so I just asked him, "Jesus, I want my whole heart to be yours. I need your Holy Spirit to build, to grow, and strengthen my faith. Will you please help me?" And over time, that's exactly what he did. Lean not on your own understanding. Our culture is all about self-reliance. And so the idea of not leaning on our own understanding seems strange. We feel like we have to figure it out and it's all on us. We place immense value on the entrepreneur who figured it out on their own and made a way for themselves. And that's fine, but think about this. God has been there since forever. Before creation, he was there. He has thousands of years on you. Now think of yourself today. Who has a bigger, better perspective? We only know what we know. We can only know what we've experienced. He has seen and experienced everything. His age is infinity, so he has a viewpoint that we don't. In all your ways, submit to him. This means get God involved in every part of your life. And I recognize that there's a struggle here between doing it my way and doing it his way. I mean, even as I speak, some of you may immediately feel that struggle and tension in one area of your life. But I want to remind you that he wants great things for you. More joy, more great relationships, and more hopes and dreams. All the things you truly want in life are found in Jesus. So when you commit to God, all my heart, all my ways, you're saying it to the person who invented peace and joy and hope. You can trust him with all of your life. It's not just a once a week thing. It's an always thing. And if you do that, he will make your path straight. Another translation says, and he will show you which path to take. Your perspective is limited. As a result, on your own, your path could look a little crooked. But Solomon was sharing that when we trust God with our lives, he will help us see a clear path forward. And following that path now is the best way to avoid making decisions that could negatively impact you later. Not only that, but he'll steer us toward the big, full, abundant life that we all want. So today, consider making this decision to give it all to the one who's above all. Jesus is the box. You can trust him with all the different compartments and components of your life, all my heart, all my ways. He cares about them all, and he wants to help you with them all. In light of what we talked about today, here are two things you can do. Take an outward faith step. If you truly trusted Jesus in all areas of your life, what's one way that you would live differently? How would your faith lead to a difference in the way you live your life? What's one thing you would ask him to help you start doing or stop doing? Maybe it's a habit that you need to break. Maybe it's stepping up and getting involved in serving others. Maybe it's inviting Jesus into your marriage. Maybe it's leading a Bible study or a small group. Maybe your one step is just to keep showing up at church, and that's great. This is a safe place for you to be yourself. And then take one inward step. Jesus is always inviting you to trust him with what's happening on the inside of you, all your heart, all your ways. Maybe his invitation for you is to trust him by taking an inward step. Maybe you're carrying some guilt over something you've done. In our limited understanding, we'll live in shame, judgment, and condemnation. In his understanding, he says, I will always forgive you, and it is impossible for me to love you less. Maybe you're angry or bitter or frustrated with someone. In our understanding, we'll hold on to a grudge or even seek revenge. In his understanding, he says, forgive as I have forgiven you so that you can find peace in your heart. Maybe you're feeling the pull to check out on your faith. In our understanding, we say, I've seen it all and done it all, and it doesn't really do much for me anymore. But in his understanding, he says, I'm always pursuing you, and I'm always doing a new thing. I'm inviting you into an everyday faith that is more exciting than you could ever imagine. I could give 100 examples, but you can probably feel where you're wrestling between your way and his ways. Whatever it is, I invite you to take an inward step this week. One place where you say, Jesus, all my heart, all my ways. You can trust Jesus with your life. You can trust him with all of your heart. Give it all to the one who's above all. Today, you can tell him, all my heart, all my ways. That's the kind of faith and surrender that leads to a big, full, abundant life.